Are you a business owner struggling with wearing every hat from custodian to comptroller? Do you know all the local, state, and federal tax reports you have to file and when? Is your business positioned to leverage credit? You're best at what you do when you're doing what you were designed to do. At Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services, we're designed to support your business from conception to succession. Let us optimize your business for the best tax advantages, payroll, accounting, and even virtual CFO services. Our Business Operations Success Suite is tailored to your business to meet you where you are and help you grow by freeing you of the tedious back office requirements. See how we can customize a plan for you at www.elite8financial.com or call us at 469-412-0056. Get balls. Get behind the sheet.
Welcome, Boss Talk family. We're getting ready to kick off another episode of Boss Talk Radio, the premier business program where we bring you experts from across all industries, giving insight into entrepreneurship, both the highs and lows and the best practices for everything in between. We have a hot show coming up for you guys today. This is kicking off our author series, and we have two phenomenal guests in the building. They are experts in their field. I hope you can hear me okay. If you were tuned into the show Tuesday, you know I have a little bit of a cold. I'm still having this little nagging cough with, but we're gonna get through it and everything. So get ready. Make sure you have your notepads handy because the information that's coming out today is intense. This is like the $1 million episode. So we look forward to bringing you guys some phenomenal information coming up right after this.
Get down.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services, with your host, George Dandridge.
Yes, sir. We're back. Another hot episode of Boss Talk Radio. So I think it was maybe a little bit more than a week ago, I put a post out that asked for self-published authors to send me their information so we can have them on the show. And the logic behind that is just like, we don't push, especially in our community, we don't push reading enough or whatever. And on top of that, I think that it'll just do young people good to realize how many people that are close to them are really pushing the envelope and lending expertise in such a manner that is really accessible to them, at the touch of a button or whatever. So what we wanted to do was feature authors across different industries or whatever, whether it was fiction, nonfiction, etc. We wanted to be able to highlight them over the next 4 to 6 weeks or so. And the response was crazy. I did not expect like that many people. I didn't realize how many people I knew that had produced works or whatever. I was like, wow. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to have to categorize this thing to make, for a more effective broadcast each time. I'm going to have to really, break this thing in segments and kind of make it make sense. And right at that moment, two people just jumped off the page to me, and the funny part about it was two people that hadn't even submitted anything or whatever. It was just like, these are the two people that I need to kick off this author series. And we're going to get into this topic a little bit later on, but what I thought was phenomenal is by every stretch of the imagination, these two individuals are successful. Like however you want to measure success, they have achieved that, and so what was really cool is like, and I didn't want to get into it too soon, but some of y'all, I had to follow up with more than once. And yet these two highly sought after, highly successful, effective people, it was as simple as I sent the email, and I don't think I had time to warm up my coffee before they responded, sent in everything that I needed, and everything was everything, just like that. So for those of you that's too busy for yourself, we're going to talk about you in the second hour or whatnot. But again, hey, these two particular guests, the amount of information that they're going to give out to you today, you'd have to watch the broadcast 10 times to get the game. So I really suggest that you guys take notes and get ready. So before we get into that, we're going to get into the term of the week. This week, we're going to talk about the time value of money. Time value of money is the concept that money available at the present time is worth more than the identical sum in the future due to its potential interest earning capacity. You will see this term come up in any financial discussion that relates to investing, especially when it comes to financial planning and things of that nature. All the terms that start to come to mind, rule of 72, etc. So I encourage you guys to look at the time value of money in your spending areas. How long it took you to earn that money, how long it'll take you to get that money back, and what are you going to send that money out to do for you? How will it become effective for you? So as y'all can see, I'm playing with my toys here and everything. But again, hope you grabbed your notepads or whatever. We're about to get into it. Here we go. So 5 minutes of fire, really quick, what we're going to get into, because I feel like I have to speak on this for you guys to really understand the magnitude of the guests we have today. We have on the show experts. Now, in the digital media age, there's a lot of people out here calling themselves experts and charging you expert prices. But by definition, it's a person who has comprehensive and authoritative knowledge of or skill in a particular area. One of the ways you know that, some of these people are not experts is because they're a jack of all trades and master of none. They're everywhere. Wherever there's something to be sold, they're offering, they're offering the product and what have you. So beware of the flexpert and seek out the experts and pay their worth. One thing that I noticed to be in common with successful people that are experts, and they just goes hand in hand, because without being an expert, they couldn't achieve success. And when they do so, it's because no matter what the service is, somehow it always manages to pay for itself. The value that they bring to the equation will help you grow in a way that will pay for itself. So, seek out the experts and be ready to pay what they ask. Because and one of the things, and this just segues right into our first guest. I've been in business for a while. If you know me, I do tax, not tech. I don't pretend to. I try to keep up as best as I can. And one of the things that used to really offend me 8 years ago, because let's be honest, 7-8 years ago, social media wasn't even 10 years old. So you had all of these people calling themselves experts, and then there was little old me. I would spend $1. I would have to ask traditional business questions, because you could be an expert in this thing, but you have to be able to translate how that thing corresponds to my business and how it can be effective for me. And what I found was that most of them were unable to do that. What they did was regurgitate a bunch of terms and stuff that they heard flying around or whatever. They learned a little bit about algorithms and this and that, and it was enough to, what's the word I'm looking for? We're going to just go and say bullshit, the average person. But, when you stuck a shovel in that thing and got a little bit deeper, what you found was they were not experts and far from it. They just knew a little bit more than me or whatever. So today, though, we have a true expert coming to you in that realm. This has been 5 Minutes of Fire. Stay tuned for our special. So what does an expert look like? This is just some of the people that you will see that she has worked with. And this is no lightweight resume here. You know what I'm saying? And obviously she couldn't fit everything on there or whatever, because I don't even see my logo on there. But when you have the credentials to boast Forbes, come on now. This is a heavyweight in the game, y'all. Her first book is the #1 bestseller. The LinkedIn Professor is in the building. Class is now in session. Let me tell you guys something. A lot of you are using, I think the politically correct term now is called the gram. And a lot of you are using Facebook and whatever. But if you don't understand the value, the resource that LinkedIn is, and especially what it is about to be, you have to tune into today's show and get this game. Without any further ado, want to bring to you, I'm going to get possessive with it, my coach, which is great, my coach, Tawana. Here we go. Hold on just a second here. What did I do? Lord, it told me my battery getting low. Hold on just a second there, Coach. I got to make an adjustment because they got to get this work today. But let me go just get this plug up going. Oh. Am I in? I can't tell. Hey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How you doing?
Oh, I couldn't be better. I really couldn't be better.
Hey, if I had your hands, I'll cut mine off.
Oh, see, now that's Dave Anderson right there. That's Dave Anderson all day. I recognize that line. Shout out to Dave Anderson.
Speaking of which, you were in CoronaCon, and man, you were in CoronaCon, and I think I filled up a legal pad, and you could have easily gone another hour or so. It was like, wow. So, okay, so Boss Talk Radio, what we bring to people is experts from across different regions. Oftentimes, this concept of entrepreneurship, seems sexy because it's a hot trend and has been for the last few years. Now, I'm personally, I always preach ownership and everything, but a lot of times people don't have the intestinal fortitude to really do this thing. They don't see the unsexy side of it. And I think I'm coming through your speaker over there, but so the first thing I want you to do before you go ahead and dazzle everybody with your credentials and experience, talk to us about your journey into the entrepreneurial space, because like most of us, you were once in the corporate world.
Yeah, not only was I in the corporate world, I was comfortable in the corporate world. And I do mean comfortable. I had that lifestyle that so many people chase, and I was happy. So I thought. And, as a result of being in corporate America for a very long time, even though I thought I was happy and probably, I think the better way to describe that was content. I was content with that lifestyle of quote unquote having everything that I wanted. Yet I actually began experiencing some serious anxiety, which turned into panic attacks. And this became alarming when I had a panic attack at work. And I've always been one to fight through things. I'm a Black woman. We are conditioned to always show up with our cape on and fight through everything. And so when I had my first anxiety attack at work, I actually stayed at work and finished out the day. Which was a horrible decision. And I decided then that I would never do that again. That if I ever had another panic attack at work, that I would leave. I worked for a company that allowed us to have short-term disability. So when that second panic attack came around, I went straight to my car in the parking lot without notifying anyone. I went straight to my car. I called the EAP people and I told them I was taking my short-term disability. I left and never came back. But that was 90 days of short-term disability, and 90 days for me was enough time for me to understand that something's wrong here. I shouldn't be having panic attacks at work. So I need to get out of this environment. But then the question was how? How do I get out of this environment? How do I actually find another job? I'd never in my life looked for a job. Someone always hired me. Someone always took me along. Someone always came for me. So I didn't know actually how to get a job. But I heard about this thing, LinkedIn, forever. Everyone else was on LinkedIn, and everyone always hounded me and told me as a corporate professional, as a woman in your field, you should be on LinkedIn. I never paid it any mind, because when I looked at LinkedIn once, it looked daunting. It looked intimidating. It looked like too much work to do. So I just kind of left the idea alone, until I was in this situation where I'm looking at a short-term disability, and I've got time now to invest in myself and looking for somewhere else to be so that I can be completely well. And lo and behold, I started watching LinkedIn experts, reading their books, signing up for courses. I learned LinkedIn inside and out, and within 2.5 months of being on this short term, looking at the end of my short-term disability coming up, what I did not expect was that LinkedIn would change my life, like literally change my life, because within that 2.5 months, I learned what I needed to do to not only get 4 job offers that were better than where I was, But the magical thing that happened in that 2.5 months is that I connected with people and built relationships with people to the point that I also started my own business during that 2.5 months. I never in my life anticipated having a business, let alone starting one while I was on short-term disability from my previous job. So I had these job offers. I had a new business that I started, and this within a 2.5 month period literally changed my life. And that's why ever since 2014, I've been on this mission to teach people the value of this platform, because so many people we see on all the other social media platforms, but when it comes to LinkedIn, the people that I serve, who are mostly entrepreneurs, they look at LinkedIn as the place to go to find a job. Now, I agree that based on how I came into using this tool, I agree that it is excellent for finding a job. What I found out, though, and what I've seen over and over since then, is that it's more than a place to find a job. LinkedIn is actually a massive branding tool. And if you use it like the massive branding tool that it is, especially as an entrepreneur, you go from being the one looking for opportunities on LinkedIn to being the one that is sought after. You mentioned that in your introduction of me. I've been sought after because I have a brand. I leveraged this tool to grow that brand, and now people come for me. And so my mission has been simple, is to teach entrepreneurs how to go from being the hunter to the hunted on this platform, because not only is it life-changing, it can truly help you grow your revenue and grow your business. So shout out to you. I really want to thank you seriously, George, for even inviting me onto your platform. I love what you've done with your brand. So to be here is quite an honor. And I love that you actually dropped my favorite word earlier in your 5-minute setup there. My favorite word in the English language is bullshit. I'm not about it. So I just love that you use that word right off the bat. And shout out to all the people who use the word bullshit on their LinkedIn profiles. I am one of those people, because it is my favorite word in the English language, and it's a part of my brand. Your brand has got to be authentic everywhere you go, including places like LinkedIn. So for all of us that love the word bullshit, jump on board.
I want to back up a little bit, because you talked about the moment where you had the anxiety attacks and everything, but that when you were approaching that burnout, because I recognize that, and of course, being a Black man, I didn't even realize that that's what it was. Yeah. I didn't catch it and leave and didn't come back. I ended up in the hospital. So and a lot of people don't know when they're actually experiencing burnout. Like you said yourself, you were happily complacent, at that time, because you had achieved what, they taught us is supposed to be the way things go.
Right.
What was it that led to you when you got to that point of burnout? What was it that made you make the decision, I'm just going to do something different, I'm not jumping back into the rat race?
Great question. And it has so much to do with how we were programmed, right? So, we come from a place where we're programmed that life has to be a certain way. You go to school, you get your degree, you go out there and you're successful with a job, right? What allowed me to really step away from that whole idea, that whole notion, was when it impacted my health, when it impacted my physical health, to the point where not only did I recognize it, but I felt it and knew I couldn't feel that again by choice, right? So when it got to that point, I was able to disconnect mentally and emotionally to that lifestyle that I had built. And one of the crazy things about my story that people write to me about all the time, that they see this or hear this somewhere, but when I actually quit my job to run my business full time and made that decision, I'm going to do this full time, I had $356 to my name. Period. Everything else was gone. I put everything that I had into starting this business. So on that particular day, there was $356. But the reason that didn't bother me is because up until that point, I had mentally and emotionally separated myself from this ideal lifestyle that I thought I was supposed to have. And what was more important to me moving forward was wellness, right? Having wellness in my life, being at peace in every aspect of my life. And that meant physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. And so just making that separation from the idea of a particular lifestyle, which wasn't healthy for me, it had proven itself to be unhealthy. So I knew moving forward that I needed to find that place where I could not only be healthy, but thrive in a new environment, thrive with a new lifestyle that was better suited for me. And I wouldn't change a single thing. You know, being an entrepreneur is hard. It is beyond hard, which is no big deal. You know, I tell people all the time, so what? It's hard. You keep doing it. Life is hard. Okay, so what? It's hard. But what sometimes people don't understand going in is that it is more work than you've ever done in your life. Because when you work for a company, you had one job to do. You were in one department, you held down one role, you had one job to do. You start your own business, you're wearing every single hat. You're doing everybody's job. You're doing all of the jobs, most of which 99% of those jobs you have no clue about. You have no background in it. You have no experience in that. So you're going to put more work into your own business than you ever did working for someone else. And the reason that I love what you're doing here is because in that work, in the process of building this brand and building this business, there are times where you're going to have to do things yourself. Right? You're going to have to learn something yourself. You're going to need to make the investments and hiring the people who know more than you to learn something that you don't know how to do. And when it came to writing my book, I worked with a coach. I hired a book coach, and they taught me every step of the process. And now one of the ways that I define success, which you were mentioning earlier, one of the ways that I define success is that every single day now, I get to teach what I know about how to self-publish, how to build a brand, how to monetize a brand, how to leverage a tool like LinkedIn, how to go out and get paid for speaking. I get to teach all that to somebody who wants that lifestyle that they know is the better path for them than the one that we're programmed to believe. So again, shout out to you for sharing your platform for folks like us.
And you know, one of the things I think doesn't happen enough, because I think you would agree that, especially early on, entrepreneurship can be lonely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I always appreciate community, because in order to transcend levels, you have to be around like-minded people and people who have done more. Or what I always say, I like to be around and talk to people who make me feel lazy, and, I have those people in my circle where sometimes at night I'm tired, but I'm feeling guilty. Like, instead of going down the checklist of what I did, I'm going down the checklist of what all I didn't do. Like, I got to get order tomorrow, And for you, you said that when you decided to jump off the bridge, you had $356. If you don't mind, I want to drive this somebody real quick, because so many people are waiting for the right time.
Right.
so many people are thinking that they have to have the perfect circumstances and the right amount of money.
Right.
And I didn't even know that part of your story, which was much like mine. Like when that day really comes and you just can't no more, when the old people say, when you sick or tired of being sick or tired, oh, you gonna change some things. You know?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
$356 in a simple commitment to self that I'm going to be healthier. And today you're teaching people how to do that, because after you made the investment, you decided to be an expert. You didn't abandon the path. And while LinkedIn is like the big thing for you, there's all these other things you're able to do, these other streams of income that you're able to do within coaching, simply because you mastered that one thing. You know, so when we come back after the break, we're going to get into a little bit about the book. We're going to take some questions. If you haven't shared the video already, go ahead and share the video, subscribe to the LinkedIn channel. And when we come back after the break, we're going to hear more from, and I just have to say it like this. We're going to hear more from my right after.
Ready to begin your business? Should you be an LLC or a C corporation? How do you track the cost of goods versus operating supplies? What are your depreciable assets? Are you structured to obtain business credit? Not sure? Get a Boss, an individual business operations success suite from Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services will position your business for success and avoid the pitfalls of startups. From registering with your state, operating agreements, bookkeeping, tax filings, and more, Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services can be your growth partner at every level of your business. Schedule your needs assessment today at www.elite8financial.com/boss or by phone at 469-412-0056.
So we're back with Tawana Ross, the LinkedIn professor. If you have not done so already, please go and check out her book, the Answering Your 21 LinkedIn Questions. And guess what? That's just the tip of the iceberg. Very, very talented individual, and we're privileged to have her on the show today. Welcome back, Coach Tawana. I'm one of those people that is guilty of, I can't even remember when it was a job market or whatever. This is probably 2010 or 11 or so, and got on LinkedIn, and it was like a job search and build your resume or whatever. And I didn't like at the time. What later came Indeed, but I kind of looked at it like that, and then connect with some people and endorse this and that and the other. And it was like after that, I didn't know. I just didn't know, so I didn't go back there or whatever. And then in my professional circle, my colleagues, people like Jillian, who spoke at Boss 2020, she's telling me, because I ask questions, I'm like, I'm not ashamed to ask, hey, where are you getting your business from? She's like, oh, I'm mostly advertising on LinkedIn. What? LinkedIn? And she's killing the game. So then one day I was talking to my girl over in Georgia, Bernadette Harris. Shout out to Bernadette. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm rocking it on LinkedIn. I was like, what is this really going on with LinkedIn? And I have been seeing you float around in different business groups and dropping little nuggets or whatever. And I'd go to the site, and I'd be standing at that thing like I'm trying to jump double dutch. Like, where do I get in this at?
Yeah.
So you've worked with several of my colleagues as well, and people in other industries or whatever, and I start to see them ascend to these different pillars. Like, you know what? Time out for what I don't know in there. I'm not gonna even do it. I'm just, hey, I'm a hire coach to one. We're gonna get in the thing. And I had one, as a matter of fact, I want to put this up before we even get into it, because the best cup of coffee I never had was coffee with you. If you'll give me that link for people to schedule a cup of Joe with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people can go to bit.ly/virtual coffee. And virtual coffee gets you on my calendar for 30 minutes, and that's completely free. But we get to have a conversation all about what your goals are, what it is you want LinkedIn to do for you, and ultimately how we can get you to those goals using this platform and using your brand, leveraging the visibility that you could have on that platform. Shout out to Miss Bernadette too. She's one of my clients, but she was one of the first clients that really made the investment in herself to jump all in and learn as much as she could about the platform. She was my first VIP client, actually, and the amount of work that she did and what that work did for her, I still scratch my head about it. You know, she works in the tax industry as well, and the amount of new clients that she got as a result of the work that she did just on her profile. You know, LinkedIn is more than just your profile, but just that work alone really brought her so much new business that year. But she's been using the tool amazingly ever since. And, you know, if you ask her, what are some of the things you're doing to make your business grow in this way, LinkedIn is always going to be one of her answers. So shout out to my girl, Miss Bernadette. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So where should, for those people who are doing the double Dutch stance like me, trying to get in, first let's talk about the sheer power of LinkedIn for the entrepreneur. Let's shift that paradigm from I'm looking for a job. We talked about Bernadette and how she was able to elevate her brand using this and whatnot. Tell people what it is about LinkedIn for an entrepreneur that they could really, use that tool to draw in business versus the other social media platforms. And then tell us a little bit about what to expect from your book.
Oh, wonderful. So one of the things that makes LinkedIn different from all the other platforms is that LinkedIn is the professional social networking platform. So people who
Not sure if we lost you there on the
log
connection.
into LinkedIn are there intentionally because business networking, connecting with other people. So the mindset of the person logging someone is how about now?
Yeah, gotcha. Oh, I had you. I lost you.
I'm back now.
Oh, there you go.
I can't tell, so you'll have to let me know if it comes back or not.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Your camera's frozen, but I can hear you. That's what's important.
Okay, you can hear me. So one of the things about LinkedIn, though, is the mindset that someone has when they log in. So they're logging into LinkedIn and do business, whereas when they log into Facebook, Instagram, etc., they're logging in over there for fun, right? That's what we do when we're taking a break from the world. So we're looking to have fun over there. Therefore, Someone using LinkedIn strategically is focusing on the brand, right? And leveraging your whole brand presence, knowing that when someone logs into LinkedIn, they're there intentionally to do business. I always tell entrepreneurs in particular, I say this to people in general, but especially entrepreneurs, that LinkedIn is either sales enablement or it's sales prevention. It's one or the other. People log in, they check you out, they're going to make a buying decision about your brand immediately. It's either yay or nay. It's either sales enablement or sales prevention. So to your question, instead of the double dutch, right? Where do you start? Where do you jump in? One of the best places to jump in is simply on your profile, right? Does your profile represent the authentic brand that you've built and created, or are we getting the wrong message and invest some time and energy into optimizing your profile, not just so that people see your brand, but getting strategic so that the algorithm sees you as well.
And that sounds sexy, but I don't think that's as easy as you made it sound.
It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. I will give you that. It's definitely not something that is easy. People call me sometimes or send me messages and they will brag about how they did their LinkedIn profile last night. And every time I get that message or get that phone call, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right. You did your LinkedIn profile last night? Yeah, right. What you probably did was you probably went to your resume and you probably copy and pasted all the bullet points from your resume onto your LinkedIn profile. And if you did that, if your LinkedIn profile looks anything like your resume, you have failed. You have got to go back to step one. That is not what you want your LinkedIn profile to look like. Because let's face it, 80% of profiles on LinkedIn are online resumes. That means 80% of the people profiling on this platform have their resume talking points. Let me tell you, nobody likes reading resumes. Nobody, not even hiring managers. You have to pay hiring managers to read resumes. Nobody reads resumes. There's nothing enticing about it. There's nothing that draws us in. There's nothing that makes us want to connect with you if we're reading your resume. Even if we need to hire you, we're not interested in that kind of language. Mm-hmm. What we are interested in, though, and what we go to LinkedIn to do is to actually connect with you. And in order to connect with you in a business world, we've got to be able to know, like, and trust you, which means your content can't look like a resume. It's got to look like an actual conversation. So for the people wanting to know, where do I start? What's step number one? I always say step number one is optimize your profile and make it the exact opposite of what your resume looks like. That means you're going to talk in the first person. Okay. That means you're going to talk in the first person. You're going to have a conversation with us. We should be able to read through your content and feel as though we just spoke with you. That's what's going to happen when you go look at Miss Bernadette's profile, Bernadette Harris on LinkedIn. When you go read through her profile, it is her speaking directly to you so that you get a pure, authentic idea and feeling around what her brand is all about. And I guarantee you, when you go read a profile like Miss Bernadette's, that is sales enablement. That is sales enablement. Someone with an online resume, that is sales prevention. Okay, mm-hmm. That is sales prevention. That's what makes us shut your brand down instantly. So these experts out here that are on other platforms like Facebook and Instagram, I always go look up an expert. I always go look these brands up on LinkedIn. And 99% of the time I go to LinkedIn and I see what they're doing over there, and it's instantly a no. You will not get my money. I will not be investing in your programs. I will not sign up for what you do because you don't care enough about your brand. on a professional platform to give us a reason to say yes.
Wow. So one of the immediate questions that leaves me with, and I'm sure somebody in the audience is thinking the same thing. On many of the other platforms, you have yourself and you have your business.
Yeah.
Some say don't cross promote and so forth, keep them separate or whatever. So when it comes to LinkedIn, should there be a separate page that represents the brand? Should you even have a personal page? Should you only have a business page? Are you saying that the secret sauce in there is connecting with the actual person, making them feel like you're somebody that they can relate to?
Yeah, well, you want to have a personal profile because that's how we find you. So, as a matter of fact, when you set up your account, you're almost required to have a personal profile. So everyone gets a profile page for themselves. Now, I do always recommend that if you've got a business, your business should also have a business page. Okay, meaning these are two different pieces of real estate for two different audiences for two different purposes. So when someone wants to learn about your business, they're going to go to LinkedIn, they're going to type in the name of your business. That's different content over there than what you would have on your personal page, kind of like what you see on Facebook. But without having a business page, when someone goes to your personal profile, you've seen this before. We go to your profile or something like that. We scroll down to the section that's labeled experience. That's where we see where you work, where you used to work, and all the details about the hats that you wear. And if you're telling us that you have a business, but we get down to the experience section and we don't see the business page represented by your logo, instead, we see your business listed, but we'll see that little gray box next to it. Anytime we see that gray box on your personal profile, we know you don't really have a business, because if you really had a business, you would have a business page. And we know that you don't have a business page on LinkedIn because you don't have a business email address. Now, here's what people need to write down in their notes. This is it right here. And this is going to hurt some people, but I got to be real with you. I mean, this is no sugarcoating here. This is a no bullshit zone. So here's the thing. If you don't have a business page on LinkedIn, it is directly tied to the fact that you don't have a business email address, because the only thing that's required to create a business page on LinkedIn is a business email address. Now, like I know, preparing taxes and whatnot, that there are folks out here claiming they have a business. And when you ask them what their business email address is, they will tell you it's their name at gmail.com. The very instant that you tell me your business email address is something at gmail.com, we've immediately cast you out of the category of those that have businesses. That is not a business email address. It is a big red flag that you don't have an official email or an official business, because if you had an official business and you had an official email address, it would also mean you've got a domain registered. Okay. So if you're in business, you most likely have a domain. And when you have a domain, you get email addresses with it, which is the only thing required on LinkedIn for a business page. So it's a big red sign. Again, it's sales prevention or sales enablement on LinkedIn. And when we see that gray box next to your business, we know that's not a real business, i.e. sales prevention.
Mm-hmm. So for the people that say, well, I pay for my Gmail, I have the business.
Right. Yeah. These are also the people, these are also the people, though, that are not interested in investing in themselves, generally speaking. Right. So these are also the people who want to get your free offers for whatever it is that you're putting out on the internet for free. These are also the people who are not interested in doing the work necessary to up level. Okay. So, we all get to make our own decisions, and, you get to run your business however you want. But I submit to you that the people who are truly interested in up leveling, the people who are truly interested in being able to fit in the category of successful, however they define that, these are people who are willing to learn what they don't know and or pay the people who do what they don't know, because that's not their area, right? But they know that they've got to make these investments in time and energy and money to get to the next level. So the folks that I work with, though, are the ones who not only want to get on LinkedIn, but they also want to create that community that you were speaking about earlier, because in this entrepreneur game, you're absolutely right. It can be lonely, but LinkedIn has some of the best communities and the best groups that you can possibly be a part of, where you're fellowshipping and getting together with people who know what you don't know. And they're more than willing to share that information with you. So, again, just a reason that I find it necessary not only to have your own personal page there, but also your business page, because these are two different entities, two different pieces of real estate, and completely different purposes.
So there was a post earlier today, and it was so timely for what the about and led into the part in talking about experts. And contextually speaking, it basically asked the question, if everybody is claiming to be the best and have these super high prices, what are the people that can't afford the best supposed to do? And as I read through the comments, it then said, if you're one of those people that are going to say, well, people will find the money if they want to have it, just keep on scrolling or whatever. And so I sat and I thought about this post for a minute. And I said, I'm apologizing in advance because I can only speak from my experience or whatever. But when I elected to start this particular business, like anything else, I give 110% or whatever. So I knew that there was a learning curve of mastery. It's like, yeah, I knew what I knew, but that's not enough to get to where I want to go or whatever. And so, every year there's thousands of dollars invested in further education, improved systems, things of this nature. And I thought about what they were saying, and I was like, there was a time where I needed a client. So I would work with people I didn't want to work with. Sure. I would accept rates that wasn't indicative of my level of expertise. Mm-hmm. And then one day, I don't know what coffee I drank that particular morning. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that no more. Like, yeah, no more promotions, no more discount this, no.
Right.
And the funniest thing happened. All of a sudden, I just got better clients.
Yeah.
And all the people that were like headaches, I didn't even have to fire them. They just left.
They left on their own, right?
And every time they left, and here's the funniest thing is like, okay, now there's this higher price. It allowed me to work more on than in my business. It allowed me to pay for better courses or whatever to educate myself. Right. I didn't have to extend invoice for a few $100s over 18 months, and things of this nature. And so I was reflecting on what they were saying, and I said, hey, everybody's not supposed to have the best. The best is not a right, it's a privilege. And you have to earn that privilege, and decide on, be an asshole enough to get that, So I'm hell bent on bringing value to my clients or whatever, and I feel like it's a privilege to be able to work with me in that regard, because you're going to get so much more than what you pay for. I think the saying is, "Cost is what you pay, value is what you get."
Right.
Give us some insight, your take on that, and how you apply. Because, and I was setting that up to ask this question about. I heard you talk about this on CoronaCon, the paid version of LinkedIn versus the free stuff. So I want you to kind of tie that into value and mindset and everything. Go on, drop the game on us.
Oh man, this is one of my favorites right here. This is one of my favorite questions. I get this question every single day. Tawana, do I need the premium version of LinkedIn? And I love to have this conversation with people. And this one goes right back to the previous conversation about either being sales prevention or sales enablement, right? So we make instant decisions about you on LinkedIn. We make instant decisions about your brand on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has trained us over the years to look for your name on the platform, and right next to your name, we're going to see the gold emblem for premium, or we're not going to see the gold emblem, right? So it's either or. We see your name and it either has the gold emblem right next to your name or it doesn't. As soon as we see your name without the gold emblem, we know immediately that you don't have the premium version of LinkedIn. We immediately discount your brand as being reputable at that point. Sometimes when I speak to audiences, we have this discussion as a free-flowing discussion. I always make the point when I'm speaking to audiences that when you see someone on LinkedIn and you've got a buying decision to make, if they do not have the premium version of LinkedIn, you do not buy. Okay. You do not buy, you do not do business, you do not move forward with these folks who don't have the premium version of LinkedIn. Sales prevention, sales enablement, and it truly is a mindset. The reason that this conversation even comes up is because the people who have premium are willing to make an investment in themselves. They are willing to get what they pay for and then some. They see that there is a return on investment from having the premium version of LinkedIn. There's so many reasons that I could give you for why it's necessary to have the premium version of LinkedIn, other than the fact that we see that immediately and we either discount you or we don't. I'm going to give you one really strong reason why you should have LinkedIn Premium, and this is the one version, the one reason that keeps me paying this $59.99 every single month, because LinkedIn Premium is $59.99 unless you have Sales Navigator, which is even more per month. But the reason that I keep paying for this over and over and over again is because there's one page on LinkedIn. You all know that it tells you all the people who have looked at you. So there's a page that says people who have viewed my profile. When you go to that page right now, if you have the free version of LinkedIn, you go to that page right now, you count those faces that you see right there. There's no more than 5 people. Okay, you have a maximum of 5 people on that page right now if you go over to that page and you got the free version, right? Versus those of us that have made the investment in the premium version. We go to that page when we have the premium version, we don't see 5 faces there. We see 90 days worth of faces. Let me repeat that. We see 90 days worth of people. That's a lot of people. And if you're using this one page strategically, LinkedIn tells you right there on this one page how these people found you. How did they get to your profile? So I personally use this one page as prospecting for my business every single month. These are warm leads on this page. So when I see under someone's name that it says found you via search. Okay, that's my favorite thing to find on that page, because if I see found you via search, it means that someone correctly typed my name into the search field. That means they knew who they were looking for. They knew what they wanted. They had intentions of finding me. They didn't find me on their homepage. They didn't find me under people that they should know. They found me via search. So they physically typed my name into the search field and did it correctly. Those are people who have a reason to connect with me, which is most likely because they want to learn something about LinkedIn. They want to learn how to publish their book. They want to learn how to get paid for speaking, but it's something that they need me for, and they intentionally went to look for me. That is a warm lead. And if I've got 90 days worth of warm leads on one page, I promise you over and over every single month that I get excited every time the notification comes up. It says, you paid LinkedIn $59.99. I get that notification on my phone. I say, hell yeah, I gave them $59.99. You know why? Because that $59.99 on that one page is easily going to turn into $5,000 easily. And that's just on any random given day. So for the folks that are still working with the free version of LinkedIn, especially if you have a business, especially if you have a brand, especially if you consider yourself to be an influencer, by all means, pay that $59.99 per month. It is an investment that not only will you get back, but it strongly gives us a reason to either do business with you or not to do business with you. And I submit to you that when we see you've got the free version, that we instantly decide on not doing business with you. So it's quite worth it. I also want to correct myself earlier. I think I gave you the wrong link for virtual coffee. For those of you that actually want to get on my calendar and have a 30-minute conversation about your LinkedIn life, the bit.ly link for that is actually bit.ly /4 virtual coffee. I forgot the number 4. So it's bit.ly, the number 4 virtual coffee. And you can get a spot on my calendar. We'll have a conversation all about your LinkedIn life and strategize what comes next.
I want to, I do things, so I want to put that in perspective. Correct me if I go down this path the wrong way. So what you're saying is for roughly $720 a year, I can then get about 1,200 warm leads. So we're talking about 72 cents per lead. Am I understanding this correctly? Because I see advertisements about buying leads and stuff all the time. Are you saying to me 72 cents per opportunity? That's client acquisition value for your
Right. Yeah. And not only that, but this money that people budget and put aside for doing ads every month, social media ads every month, I still grapple with that whole idea because in my years of business, I've hardly ever done paid ads, but especially not on LinkedIn. Yet somehow, some way, even though I don't have 1 million followers, I see the results of how powerful LinkedIn is every time I look at my calendar, every time I look at my bank accounts, every time I look at my clients. Man, shout out to my clients, because my clients are all so dope. Hashtag my clients are so dope. And I mean, I mean that. I've got a client who is very vocal about her life on LinkedIn and what she calls simple, right? To her, it's a simple thing. She just submitted a proposal for her first opportunity with a $1 billion organization. And they found her on LinkedIn. Okay.
Wow.
So she's always very vocal about how all of her big ticket clients, her VIP clients, the people that have pushed her into this area beyond where she was dreaming before, these folks find her. They communicate with her. They reach out to her on LinkedIn. And I always encourage people to ask yourselves, are you having conversations today on Facebook that include millions of dollars, billions of dollars? Is that even something that's coming up in your conversations on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram? Is that even something that is par for the course over there? I think not, because again, the mindset of people when they log on to LinkedIn is a totally different mindset. It's a totally different environment. It's a totally different conversation. So for the people who are over there and using it as a sales tool, as a prospecting tool, as a communication tool, building relationships over there, I promise you, they find it worth it to make the investment every year. And I'm so grateful that you've broken this down mathematically, because when somebody hears what you just stated, when they can hear the impact, the amount of dollars that they're investing, the $700 a month. Come on, man. We spend $800 on one transaction in our business. So to come out of pocket $700-800 for a year for a tool that can catapult you into the next level, to me, it's just a no-brainer. It really is. It's such a no-brainer that, again, it's why people either rock with you or they don't as soon as they log in and see what you're doing on LinkedIn, because it's a no-brainer. If you're not over there and you're not standing out over there, it's a choice that you're making because you've got the tool right there in front of you.
And I want to share my personal story because I'm a little transparent with this thing. Coach Tawana was not on my calendar for this year, although I was very aware of her. Like I said, I saw something out there and I was like, you know what, that's it. I got to work with her or whatever. And let me tell you something, this virtual coffee link, a lot of people put out there the whole, free 15-minute consultation, whatever, or 30-minute consult or whatever, which oftentimes is a sales pitch. Mm-hmm. Man, look, we were on the phone for 22 and a half minutes. And in 22 and a half minutes, I got more game than I did throughout my entire high school career and everything. Like, I got off the phone excited and motivated, and then I was like, hey, coach, look, I got to put this thing in blocks or whatever. I didn't even realize it was going to be this much, So, hey, get on her calendar. The book is The LinkedIn Professor. Class is now in session. We want to thank you again, Coach Tawana, for joining us today and dropping so much game on our audience. You can also work with Coach Tawana at workwithtawana.com. And you can purchase the book on Amazon. The link is here. The next hour, we have the one and only Rich Boy. You're going to have to tune in to even find out what that means, because it's not what you're thinking. Thank you again, Coach. If you want to hang out with us, we pull you in too, because this is my brother from another mother from back home, same alum and everything. So we get a little out of pocket with it. We're going to talk about some folks. We'll be back right after this. Uh-oh, I forgot to include the sound on that. There we go. Okay, that didn't work. We're going to try that again. Y'all got to forgive me. Y'all know I'm in here playing with my toys up in here. Let's try that again.
We could not continue to taxes in the traditional sense that we've been doing for so many years. So we opted to go ahead and take the advice from one of our friends that went ahead and referred us. And since he referred us, we said, we decided let's go ahead and check Elite 8 out, and I'm glad we did. They were extremely very thorough, so that's part of the excitement that we really enjoyed with Elite 8. So some of the parts of the values that we really enjoyed was that they were, beyond the fact that they were trustworthy, very thorough, extremely responsive, and the fact that we could do things online the same that we were able to do in the traditional sense.
Get behind the shield.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services, with your host, George Dandridge.
We are back on Boss Talk Radio. That was a very informational hour. We had Coach Tawana on, and she's going to hang out with us and join back up with us in a little while. But we started the camp off talking about being an expert, what it meant to be an expert, what it qualifies you as an expert, and the value that experts bring to what they do. And so now we want to bring to the show, you've seen him on before, my big brother in this tax thing, my big brother in the ways or whatever. The book is called Running with Blinders, the Top 17 Mistakes of Small Businesses. Guys, let me tell you something. You don't have to trip over your own feet to get this thing done or whatever. They have people out there that have already blazed the trails. They've already made the way. You can get this information from them. And, when we talk about value, he even has another book, The ABCs of Entrepreneurship. You have to get these for the young people because it'll be first. It is never too young to have these discussions with your kids and whatnot. So we want to welcome to the show Mr. Brian Juber, aka Rich Boy. What's going on, big brother?
What's up, G buddy?
Oh, man. Absolutely. You already know, quarantine and taxes, man.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Man, look, this is the first time that we have an opportunity to have you on the show that we're just talking to you about what you do versus you commenting on some other folks, and, one of the things that I love about you, man, is that you do it for the cause, not the applause, you do it for the outcome, not the income, and I've been like almost every day consistently since March. You've been on here dropping this knowledge about PPP plans, stimulus checks, giving people direction and, education or whatever. And what I just can't seem to wrap my mind around is why, when there's someone like you that just is so just giving himself, like, dude, like, you're gonna die empty because you just give it all out. Yeah. Why is it that people still fall for the okie doke?
Know what? And they said, it's a quote basically. Well, I ain't gonna say a quote, it's a saying that people would believe a great lie over the good truth. And that's basically what happens is people like the dramatics. And usually when people are basically giving you a whole bunch of bull, is usually with drama and dramatics behind it. And people love that. So they'll believe those lies. They'll believe those people that's not that, knowledgeable in this industry before they believe somebody that's going to give it to you real and raw, but ain't going to come with all of the dramatics behind it.
Right. Hey, you didn't get on the first hour. So I want to honor you, you know, because when I tune into your show, you always keep it, you know, right here. You keep it leveled or whatever. But I'm gonna allow you to get raw with it. This is the second hour, so we gonna allow you to give them 5 minutes of hell after the introduction. This one to honor your section.
Oh, yeah.
Who got the fire? Who got the fire? That 15 got that fire. Who got the fire? Who got the fire?
Give it to him, B.
You got me I'm unmuted now.
Yes, sir.
All right. I hear you vibing with the Indians back there, man. I saw that the other day. I say, gee, getting it in with the Indians.
Well, we want you to go ahead and drop this bit of science on them here, you know, before, because we're gonna get into the book and your background and all of that, and you know what the acronym is and all of that. But I really want to talk about, or better yet, I want you to talk about really quick what it means to be an expert and what it takes to become an expert and what it is to give value.
All right. And so I'm going to even back up a little further because you said something in the beginning about me giving and, you know, sharing information with people and just giving it so freely. And it's crazy because somebody asked me, they say, do you think you do so much for people and you do so much for free or for little or nothing because you're successful? And my response was, no, I'm successful because I did all of that for free or little or nothing in the beginning, because I didn't mind giving, because if you give and you help, it's going to reciprocate. And so that's, first of all, that's value. So you just mentioned the word value. So when you give, man, you give freely, you give from the heart, then it's people feel that. People feel the passion. And when you're passionate about it, it's going to come out, and people want to be associated with passion, you know. And so that's why I do what I do, because it comes natural. And, you know, even when I talk with you being in the same industry, I could talk with somebody in the tax industry and I forget, because I start dropping and giving you all of the insight, all of the tools, because this is so much bigger than me, man. You know, and that's what I love, you know, about what we do, because we only a select few of people, you know, that really are experts at what we do. It's a million people in this tax industry, but it's not a whole lot that actually know the game, you know, like we do. And like I said, I always love when you call me and you ask me stuff, because I know that's a sincerity about the love for the industry, because you want to know. You know, you would be surprised how many people that get in the business don't never call, never ask questions, you know, and really don't know the business. So when I see you calling and you asking, then I know that you want to be the best in this industry. You want to help your clients because you're trying to find the right answers. So when we talk about being an expert at something, really, it's just not a matter of time. I've been in the tax business 23 years now, but that don't necessarily make me an expert, because that's just time. It's people that's been in it but never maximize their craft. What makes me an expert is that I put time in learning pretty much every aspect of this industry, learning as much as I can. You would never know 100% of anything in any industry, but I guarantee you I'm as closest to that 100% as anybody else. And I think that's what makes you an expert when you start going to classes, when you start basically researching, when you start reviewing, and you consistently do these things over and over and over. Repetition, which that's the thing that actually creates the platform to make you an expert, is when you consistently do it. The experience, you know, every experience in this industry, I've probably seen over 100 times. So if I've seen something over 100 times, then I'm probably going to be extremely proficient in that. If I'm in this 23 years and I've seen almost every scenario, that's going to make me an expert. And that's what people don't do. They don't explore other opportunities outside of what they already know. And you can't be an expert just knowing the 5 things you already know.
So are you telling me that after 23 years, you are still investing money in classes and seminars and traveling around picking up other skill sets? Are you telling me that you're supposed to keep growing and learning the rest of your
Nah, I'm just crazy like that, man. I'm just crazy to think that I got to keep learning because tax has been around for 100 years, and it's I shouldn't worry about learning nothing new because I know what I know, you know. But
Hey,
it's
tell me
like
this.
do you? It's nothing like when you see those commercials, they be lying when they say it's 2,800 tax codes that changed last year. They be lying about that kind of stuff, man. When you see that on commercials. Yeah, it don't be 2,800, it be about 2,600. So if it's changing every year like that, we got to evolve with the changes so we could be on top of that.
Well, I don't think people understand, the amount of time and money we spend on staying abreast of this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the things, because I always tell you this, but I want to tell you this publicly for a reason right now, because today we're kicking off our author series. So I put out a post about a week or so ago asking for any self-published authors or whatever to shoot an email or whatever over to me or whatever, and some people that actually sparked the thought in my mind were slow to get. And so we're going to talk about who Brian Joubert really is, because this is my big brother. I know the background and everything, but I don't think people understand how successful you are because you pretty much talk about taxes. You don't talk about the restaurants and the TV and the all the other stuff you have going on or whatever. So I'm telling y'all that you have, I might not say that because I'm going to use his term. You have a semi-retired, semi-vegan, semi-millionaire, and he's accessible. Why are these people that's not moving units, don't have a real, their business not set up the right way or whatever, but they're always too busy to do business where business being done.
Yeah, but once again, it goes back to it's a very small percentage of people that's truly in business to help. Most people are not in business to help. Most people are in business to make a profit. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't make a profit, but you have to be on both sides of it. You got to be able to help people as well, because that's where your blessings come from. And that's why I'm so successful, because I understood somebody threw me a rope. And when you understand the whole throw the rope concept, it's not hard for you to reach back to people. It's not hard to be, accessible, because when you get on top, you're supposed to throw the rope back down and pull somebody else back up. And it's enough food, man, for everybody to eat. And that's what people think. They got this whole prison syndrome where they got their food cuffed, like they don't want nobody else to touch their food. But it's enough food for everybody. And that's what I understood a long time ago, and when cats threw me the rope, I can say, I always say, and even to this day, after 20 something years, I still acknowledge Greg Moyer basically for sitting down with me every day and showing me the game. I actually sit down, I still talk to Todd Ivory. I still talk with him now, because he had a Jackson Hewitt, and I could call on his brother every day, man. I used to feel bad sometimes because I call him so much. And every time I would call and ask a question, he would say, man, just call me back if you have another question. And these cats welcome me. So I would do life a disservice if I don't do the same for other people, if I don't reach back, if I don't be accessible, and because I love doing this, I love educating, I love seeing people win, then it's easy to do. And when you're a winner, you don't worry about nobody else winning, because you're going to dominate regardless what the next person does. And that's been my whole life, and that's why I've been successful, and I don't mind helping other people, because your success will not hamper my success in no way at all. So it's easy.
That brings me to this right here. You talked about being able to give because you were given. Let's talk about this acronym right here, because some people hear it and they think, oh, he just flossing, oh, he just showing off. Let's talk about Rich Boy.
And if it comes across, as me flossing or showing off, it is. It is. Because once again, I earned, hear that word, I earned the right to do so. I put in work. So when I'm traveling and I'm talking about I did all 7 continents, all 50 states, all ancient wonders of the world, and I can do all those things, I've earned that. But the beautiful thing about it is, G, I don't floss it in nobody's face. What I do is I show you how to do it. That's the beautiful thing about it. I basically do it, have done it, but then I want to show you how to do the same thing. But I always say, even when I talk to my class, I do a millennial class on Friday mornings, every Friday at 10 o'clock. You'll never really hear me talk about this. It's at a school. And I have a different group of millennials every Friday. And I get on and I teach business and tax concepts. And I always tell them that, you got to understand that the whole Rich Boy thing is about creating a foundation. So really interested in caring how businesses operate internally. That's my passion. And I always tell them, it's not about my lifestyle, it's about my passion. And my passion is helping businesses grow. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 13 years old, man. The longest I've ever worked one job was 11 months. And that was a long 11 months. So I've never even did a year on nobody's job. So I know it's possible to do so. So my thing is, if I could take all those years of experience and pour it into other people and show them how to run their businesses, all of us eat. And then think about it, if I show you how to run your business properly, you make money, and then you won't have no problem paying me my bill. That's another part of it. So if you're making money, I could get paid on time. So, I'm going to run your business properly, because I understand, because we're losing, man, as a community. And I see what and I tell them, I ain't anti nobody, I'm just pro-Black. And I want to see my people win, and I want to see us win in a big way. But I know we're losing based on what I see other communities are doing and how it's working in other communities and what they're entitled to based on the move that they're making. And so I want us to be on that same level, but we have to do it properly. And that's what the whole Rich Boy thing is about. It's about creating a foundation for your business. We understand it when building a house. I've talked to a lot of real estate people, and when they talk about building a house, they always say the foundation of the house have to be strong in order for the house to last. We understand it in relationships. We say, all right, the foundation in the relationship have to be good. You got a good foundation, the relationship gonna last. But we don't understand it in business. Your foundation of your business have to be strong, because we see a whole lot of pretty businesses from the outside. You see a lot of people you think doing it, but their infrastructure is toe up. They ain't filed taxes in 3 years. They don't have no profit and loss statements, no balance sheets. They're not structured properly. They're doing $300,000 as a sole proprietor.
And we've seen this. The light shined on this during this pandemic when it came time to get these funds. And hey, can you get 2 years of bookkeeping done for? Hold on, wait a minute.
2 years. You tried 2 years of having your taxes done.
Oh no, the taxes was 4-5 years.
Yeah. So bookkeeping is a luxury, we believe. We believe that's a luxury. But now I think what I love about this, though, they're pressing people to make sure they stay ahead of the game now. So now you're getting stuff in order. And that's so a blessing. That's what the whole Rich Boy thing about is really about, really helping businesses grow, but showing them the right way. When we talk about infrastructure, about having things in place and being ready, and I talk about this a lot, it's better to have and not need than need and not have.
Absolutely.
So get you a profit and loss, get you a balance sheet. And if you don't need it for any reason, at least you have it. But when you basically need it, you don't have to go try to find it. And so now
Or
while you trying to
create.
find it, everybody else submitting their paperwork and you behind the 8 ball and they run out of money.
So let's talk about the man. It's so much information everybody could get from you. I'm conflicted on where to start, but like you said, you invest a lot of time, or should I say, let me rephrase that. You give a lot of time, not only with community efforts, but specifically to the youth. What do you think? I was using you as an example a couple of weeks ago in a conversation as just another option, because I think the value is underestimated when you go into school and you're able to demonstrate a whole nother look at what success looks like without a ball or without a microphone or whatever. How do you make that connection? Somebody asked me one time, they said, "Hey, George, you ought to do a youth class over there." I was like, "Yeah, now my kids say I'm always preaching anyway. I don't think I'll be able to connect with the youth." How do you find yourself able to really get there? Because your daughter's, I think she just got out of college, right?
No, she actually is in her junior year.
Okay. So how do you find yourself able to really, and resonate with the teenagers, the high schoolers or whatever, and make such an impact on them in language or from an industry that just isn't sexy? Like, typically in our community, when the topic comes up is like, "Hey, ball out time because we got a refund." How are you driving that home and connecting with them?
But no, what's crazy? I've actually benefited from probably not being the most articulate brother in that sense. And I know that sounds crazy, and I say that in the sense of the way I speak naturally. You can hear a lot of my New Orleans come out of me. I speak to individuals the same way I would do if we were just having a one-on-one talk. And what happens is with that though, George, they can feel the passion. They don't feel as though I'm talking over their head because I'm not using a whole lot of big words. I'm not using a whole lot of terms and phrases that they can't relate to. So I still talk. I'm still connected to the hip hop head. People still are surprised when we talk about the types of music that you like. And I tell people, my thing is, I'm a hip hop head first. And I think you put something out there about that, about jazz or something. And I told you, that's probably not me. My first choice would be hip hop. If it's live music, it needs to be a band that plays hip hop too. And so I think with that, on the flip side of it is, it does keep me somewhat connected to the young people, because I still can use terms, I can use artists that they can relate to when we talk about money and finance. I use a lot of humor when I speak, and so taxes, because it's funny, because I've had several occasions over the last year, and people's like, "Oh, taxes, I hope this don't be boring." And I said, "I can guarantee you it won't." And when we finish, they be like, "You know what? That's one of the most informative, one of the most informative sessions I've ever had. Not just taxes, but just somebody speaking." Because what I try to do is, and I say this, and my book was burnt from, to be honest with you, if you read my book, it's very simplistic in the wording, in the way it comes across, but the information in there is phenomenal. But you can relate on any level, even if you don't know a lot of business terms. It's relatable. And I heard one person talk years ago, and this is how my book came about. I was listening to this person talk, and I'm looking in the audience. They talking about their book. They're reading stuff from their book, and they're talking to the audience, and I'm looking at the audience because I know this is a amateur audience. And when I say that, meaning that this was people that probably had startups, hadn't started their business yet, and they're talking about terms, about, just market business analysis. And and I'm looking like, these people I barely understand this stuff at the time. And I'm looking around and nobody's connecting. I say, you know what? I say, I'm going to write a book, man. And I'm going to make that book basically so impactful. but it's going to be so simplistic to where even if you don't understand business terms, you understand what I'm talking about and what you need to do with your business. And I think that's what I've done a phenomenal job of relating to people on any level. So when you start talking about the millennials, I don't try to talk over their head. I try to talk, their language. So I might, I know some of them probably be like, look at this old man trying to be trendy. Because I use stuff, to try to connect with them. But I think it works because they get it. Because even on my show on Friday mornings, what the instructor always do, she say, give me some takeaways from what y'all heard from what Mr. Brian talked about. And when I hear the takeaways, man, I'm telling you, it touches my heart because I know they've been listening. And I know they was attentive the whole time because the takeaways and the stuff they talk about that I mentioned, they're excited that they learned something new. And not only did they learn it, they understood it. And that's the key, because communication is not the key. Understanding is the key. Because we can communicate all day, but if you don't understand, we wasted a whole conversation. And that's what I've done a great job at with millennials.
I heard you talk about this one time, and I don't think people understand how much we chatted up or whatever. So I can't really remember if I heard it on one of your programs or in one of your talks, or if we were just on the phone or whatever. I really don't remember, but the story itself really stood out to me. You were talking about E.T. You were talking about Eric Thomas. And you were talking about, I think you said you ran into him at the gym or whatever and something. And you took on this mindset that you weren't going to do the typical be too proud type of thing. And like some people get a little too masculine and think, okay, I don't act like a groupie, whatever. But you made a point of making yourself known or whatever, not only with the introduction, but then you mentioned this later on, and I don't think this part happened at the gym. You talked about in a conversation, somehow you asked the question, well, what do you charge for an hour, and was willing to spend that amount of money to not even to get no advice or whatever, but to be able to sit and talk or whatever and make that impact and make your presence felt. I think that is the single greatest example of investing in oneself, because you really could have took that position like, shit, I don't need to talk to him. I'm a millionaire too, whatever. I don't need, So let's talk about that, and then we're going to get a little bit deeper into the book.
All right, but know what? To be honest with you, man, I'm glad you brought that up because that was a reminder for me. I think at that point, that's when I grew. And I say this, I think that's when I initially grew as a businessman and a human being in a sense, is when the story was, it wasn't E.T., it was CJ. So if you follow E.T. and CJ, them, you know that CJ is pretty much just as equal as E.T. in the company.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He's just not the front man, right. And so what happened was I went to one of their sessions. They were in Atlanta. And what I did was, the first thing I did was I brought 2 of my books to give to them for free. So I said, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to put my books in their hand. I said, and most people go to places to get something. I said, I'm going to give something. People remember when you're a giver and somebody gives you something, you're usually going to remember that person because everybody's trying to take from you. So when somebody brings something to you, that's out of the norm. And we remember those type of situations. So I say, well, I'm going to use, this psychology. But not only that, the principles in there, if they do read it, they're going to be like, okay, you know what? It might be a chance. I didn't have nothing to lose, George, but $25. Because I'm giving away 2 books. And if we look at the value of the books, let's look at the printing cost of the book. I lost $6. I lost $6 by giving them 2 books. So what happened was, probably shortly after that, maybe a couple of weeks, I got a chance to meet CJ at the event and E.T. So afterwards, I was at the gym and I'm working out. So I looked and I said, man, that's that cat CJ. I said, well, this would be a great time to connect with them and just see if they read the book, if they remember the book or whatever. So I'm seeing him in the gym, and I'm like, CJ. So he got his headphones on. He just walking. So I'm like, well, I ain't gonna sweat no brother. So he walks back the other way. I'm like, CJ. I know he ain't think he that big that he can't answer. But then I'm like, all right, no, he might have his headphones in and he can't hear. So he goes out the locker room. He's walking toward the door. I'm steady like, CJ, brother still ain't answering. I was like, nah, I'm not about to walk outside and go after this brother. So he gets to the door, and I'm having a whole conversation with myself at this point. Brian, put your pride aside. My other side saying, well, Brian, you just as big as them, basically you may not be known, but you just as successful as them, so you ain't gonna chase him now. My other side coming back like, Brian, put your pride aside, go holler at him, man. You never know what can come out of this. I'm like, nah, I can't sweat him. I'll see him again. And I'm like, no, don't leave it to chance. This is an opportunity. So I'm having this whole conversation with myself. So I go out the door. He's sitting in his car. I'm like, okay, now you're looking like a stalker. You about to walk now. So I'm having this whole. I'm telling you, I'm having this conversation with myself. Like, well, B, you didn't went all the way outside. Now you might as well go up to the car. So I walked up to the car, and he's sitting down, and he's in the window. So he turned around, he jumped like, oh man, about that. He from Detroit, I'm from New Orleans, so I'm thinking I know how this might look. He might know how this look. So I'm stepping to the side because I'm thinking he might be going under the seat. So he rolls down the window, very humbly. And he's like, what's going on, bro? I was like, wait, man, see, I just wanted to holler at you, man. I saw y'all at the conference. I gave you one of my books, man. Oh, yeah, what's up, man? I remember you, blah, blah. I said, so y'all down here again? Y'all visiting? He's like, nah, I live here. I said, really? He was like, yeah, I live here, man. So he was like, let's chop it up sometime. No, here, take my number. Let's chop it up, man. Let's see what's happening. So I said, well, actually, where you live? He said, Mableton. He said, right across from the Publix. I said, wow. I said, actually, that's my tax office right next to Publix in that shopping center. He was like, oh, man, I see that all the time. He said, all right, man, get with me, man. Let's connect, So once again, he gave me his number. So I'm having a lightweight conversation after this now. I'm talking to myself, all right, don't call too soon. You know how it is when your girl meet the dude and the dude meet the girl, nobody won't seem like they desperate. So everybody waiting. And what you done did, you done let the next cat creep in because you trying not to be desperate. Now the next cat they crept in and she like, oh, I'm dating somebody now. And so
you're trying not to be thirsty, as the young people say.
yeah, I can't be thirsty. So, but I'm like, you know what, man? Put your pride aside. So I hit him up. I'm like, what's up? See, I say, how you looking, man? Let's get together. He's like, yeah, we could do that at the pizza bar. So I sat down with him. We talking, chopping it up. We going into it. He like, B, bruh, why you not on a national stage? He was like, your story from what you're telling me. And he said, all the things you've done, bruh. He said, that's crazy. He said, that's crazy, man. He said, yeah, you got stuff, bruh. He said, but I could sense it. He said, I could sense that you got, a lot of knowledge and expertise, and you're sincere about what you do, man. He said, let's get together again. He said, we got a couple of shows. We got to go out of town. He said, but let's make sure that we connect, man, when I get back. So after that, we started to connect. And so he was like, B, we going to be in St. Louis, man. Well, come through, whatever. So boom, I started popping up. Like I went to St. Louis. I was at Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, a few shows. He was like, so every time I would go to a show, he would give me backstage. And then he would always be like, E, this my man right here. This is who I was telling you about. So I knew it was sincere because every time he would say, oh, yeah, the accountant dude, yeah. He's like, man, CJ be telling me things about you, man. Let's make sure we link. Let's stay connected, And so from that, man, just putting my pride aside, created a relationship that was phenomenal, in the sense of anytime they were at events, it can be 1,000 people in the room. CJ or one of them make a comment and say, man, what be at? I'm sitting in the audience. What be at? This this cat here been all over the world and blah, blah, and, use it for an example. And next thing I know, people coming up, they holler, and so with that, man, we got to learn, especially black men, and I don't get enough to come at me, and so we got to learn to put our pride aside. We got to learn to connect. We got to learn to work together and stop worrying about if somebody going to think we jocking and, all of these things, because these cats came to me. C told me, he said, well, B, are you open to taking some gigs, bro? Like, he said, we don't really do anything for under 25,000. He said, but we get people sometime that'll come and want us to speak for 10, 15,000. He said, nah, we really don't do those. He said, but those people got to get that done. He said, they got to get it done. So we rather have somebody in our network that would do it as opposed to letting them go somewhere else. I say 10, 15,000 for 2 hours. I was like, that might be a little beneath me, but I'll take it. He said that. It wasn't even no hesitation, because now I'm like, okay, shit, 10, 15 a gig for something that I do for half of these broke people that don't want to pay you nothing. Put you on our step and repeat. We'll put you on our website. Like, I'm like, yeah, man, call me. I'm like, no, what is though? But once again, when you talk about, connecting and building and relationships, but not only from that, now I pretty much do everybody on their team taxes except ET. So from that, it birthed something else. But I don't trip on it, because who knows, 2 years down the line, ET might say, you know what? I'm not happy with my person. I need to, CJ, I need to call y'all people. And so the thing about it is that I never let my pride, get in the way, and I fought with that. And now it makes life so much easier. And that's why, man, cats got to understand. And like you said, understanding the value of somebody's time. I never take nobody's time lightly. And so with that, I know that ET get 1,000 people a year to say, hey, man, let me sit down with you. I just got a few questions, blah, blah. So you get that. And be honest with you, I might get not half as much as he do, but I know that most of these conversations are a waste of time, because I'm like, we could have did this over the phone. So I know it's not that I don't want to sit down with people, but now I vet people a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I might have a phone conversation like, all right, well, what are we going to talk about? Because if and it's always, all I need is 20 minutes. And you know how that go. It say 20 minutes, and it'd be 2 hours. And sometimes I'll be like, I can't do this 3 times a day because I didn't use up a whole day. So my thing to show value, I'm like, all right, how much do you charge an hour? Because once again, I show that I will value your time. Mm-hmm. I'll pay you for that hour of time. With that, man, you can't do anything but believe that a person's sincere about their future and their growth when they're willing to invest monetarily. And I tell people all the time, if you want to know if somebody's serious, see if they make a monetary investment.
Right.
And
and
investment, they're serious.
The funny part was my story with you is almost exact parallel, to that, because, yeah, we're from the same hometown. Yeah, we went to the same college at different times or whatever, and when I first was really looking at getting into this business or whatever, I was like, yeah, I can learn tax code or whatever, but, and I know business principles, but there's a thing called the business of taxes, the tax business, and I don't know that yet, and I said, I want to talk with somebody and get with somebody that really know that thing or whatever, and I just kind of put that out there or whatever. So I was at Mardi Gras, and person I was with was like, yeah, the guy I was telling you about, that's who you want to talk to. And you were standing over there real incognito in the fresh polo or whatever with this, mean mug on your face, like, I hope nobody don't come bother me today, standing on Orleans or whatever. Went over to speak to him, like, yeah, I ain't gonna bother him right now or whatever, I'll catch up with him later. So I did come over and introduce myself or whatever. And he's like, yeah, we connect later. And I was like, all right, well, how soon do you call him or whatever? I was like, I ain't gonna call him. I'm gonna shoot him an email. That way, he can just get back to me in his time. I think 6 months went by. You shot me an email back like, hey man, I see you. I ain't forgot about you, but we go connect or whatever. So when we got to hook up here in Dallas, because had to transition or whatever, and we got to hook up here in Dallas, one of the things that I believe is if I'm going seeking anything, whether it's information or whatever, not only am I going to respect somebody's time, I'm going to show them that I appreciate them. So for me, it was like, hey, let's go catch this lunch, whatever. And you probably thought I was crazy when I came through with the socks. Whatever,
I didn't know you was going to remember that.
Yeah, I came through with the socks. It was like, hey, it ain't a Rolex or nothing, but I'm just trying to say, hey, I appreciate you giving me this window or whatever, to pull at your brain, So the story was very, very parallel.
The beauty of that is that's Tony Fleming, the cake man. Hey,
what's Tony?
You know what? If y'all don't know Fleming, y'all need to hook up with Fleming. But actually, Tony was one of the first ones when I talked about I offered ET money to sit down with him per hour. Tony used to be my co-host on my radio show. And Tony was one of the first people. We were talking about somebody, I don't know if it was Dr. George Fraser or somebody. And Tony said, man, know how you get in with one of these, some of these people? He said, offer them some money for their time. And he said, I guarantee you. So he was one of the first people that really turned me on to that concept, and so you got to be around people like that. I don't, like, personally, I don't judge him that he eats a lot of sweets and donuts and cakes and stuff. That has nothing to do with business. It has nothing to do with business.
Work it off.
Hey, I'm going. All right. But what we don't understand is that gesture of you having those socks in hand, it wasn't even about the socks. It was about the thought of you saying, I'm going to bring something to the table. So what happens is most people go to a cookout and they looking to eat. But when you say, all right, well, I brought something, I brought one of the sides or something, guarantee you're going to be one of the first people that host going to call again. Because they see value in that, man. That's a test of character. That's a test of character right there. That's a testimony when you say, you know what, I'm not just thinking about what I can get. And even if you're not doing it sincerely, know how to play the game. That's the game. Know how to play the game. Don't come there empty-handed when you're trying to get something for somebody else. And
that's what I was talking about earlier, because fast forward, one day you shot me a random text message like, hey G, I want to do something in Dallas or whatever, put this or that together or whatever. And for me, it was like, shit, you put me in the game, let's play, And I immediately started calling people and pulling on the network or whatever. It's like, hey, we got to get it done. He ready to put me in the game,
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. And we got to learn to play the game, and it's crazy because I always think back to this experience, and I use this as an example that, it's funny because I had a situation, if like a lot of people don't know, Rich Boy, actually, one of the phases of Rich Boy was when I started off, the economy, that's when the economy was tough. And everybody started getting in business. Everybody was getting in business because they were getting laid off from their jobs. They were getting fired. They was quitting. Companies were closing. So everybody started opening a business. And I'm like, getting all these new tax clients that have a business now, but ain't nobody doing nothing with their business. And so that's one of the things to prompt the title, Running with Blinders, because I kept saying everybody's running a business, but don't know where they're going. So that's where Running with Blinders come from. But one of the aspects of it was I saw there was a lot of businesses, man, that was doing great business and great numbers. People had a lot of great ideas. So I was doing okay financially. So my thing was, let me start investing in some of these businesses because I see that they're one-man operations, but they got something good. They just don't have money. The banks wasn't giving money. They couldn't go to nowhere else to really get money. So I was like, you know what? Let me start putting some money behind this, some of these businesses that I see. And so what happened was that was one of the phases of Rich Boy is to buy businesses. When you hear me talk about it, I always say, I teach, I invest, I buy businesses. And so I started buying a lot of these small businesses or buying into businesses. So it might be that you needed, it was just times were hard. You needed $10,000 to get this piece of equipment to take your business to the next level. I would come in for a small percentage and pay that. Or either if I saw it was a situation, I would buy the business, and that's part of where it started. And I don't think, we understand that there's plenty of people out there. So I always say I was probably one of the first banks, non-traditional banks out there. But it got too big because everybody needed money. So I started now, let me focus more on the teaching, because if I give you money and you still don't understand business, you still gonna fail. And so one of the stories was, and this is where I understood that people don't get it. Somebody called me and they say, Brian, I got somebody that have a restaurant and they needed some money. They were trying to see, if you can help them out. I said, well, I'll sit down with them. So I sat down. We talking about, where they at, what they got. My thing is once again, just like Shark Tank, what skin in the game do you have? What have you invested? Because I'm not going to invest more than you've invested into your business. If I see you finishing and you work 8 hours, 10 hours, and you think you did something, I ain't investing in that. And so what happened was I'm sitting down with them. We talk about an hour. They telling me their marketing plan. They telling me what they're going to do. We at the restaurant. They want $25,000. So we talking. I'm like, first of all, I try to get people to understand that $25,000 is not a whole lot in a restaurant, because once you pay payroll, that can suck up a lot of your payroll. Restaurants, bars, all those things, you have to put in plenty advertising dollars, radio. Maybe not TV as much, but you got to do a lot of commercials to get those type of businesses out. So it wasn't a lot, but I said, all right, well, let's see what their plan is. We sat there, talked about the plan. We talked for a while. We get to a point where they was like, well, would you like something to eat? So my thing was, first, if you got a restaurant that you want me to invest in, you should have already had an idea in your mind that you're going to let me try some stuff to see even if your food is any good. I said, well, yeah, this is what I want. I said, I want this, want that. It wasn't much. I didn't order much. Bruh, I finished that. We finished talking. They gave me a bill.
No.
They gave me a bill. And I was not to say that I want anything for free, but you don't know how to play the game. So how you going to come and ask me for $25,000 and you ain't even give me 50% off? So that was a perfect example of having somebody that don't know how to play the game. In business, you got to know how to play the game. So when you bring something to the table, that's part of playing the game. And like I tell you, I hope you do it in sincerity. And I know you gave me those socks in sincerity, because I think when you were working at the time, you knew, again, I wear colorful socks. I wear trendy socks, and these socks wasn't just no plain sock like, well, let me just pick up something off the side of the road for him. And so you understood that. And I think that's what most people don't understand. And that's why most people can't get the things that they seek, because they don't understand and they don't have a giving mentality.
So when you talk about with blinders, we have the top 17 mistakes. We want to drop a little value in on the audience. What would you say is, in your 23 years in this industry, dealing with business owners, financials and whatnot, what would you say the top 3 mistakes are that is just cross industry?
Well, first, and this might not be in no particular, it could be in a particular order, because in my book, the first thing I say is the first mistake I say in my book is not understanding the value of customer service. Not understanding that customer service is king. You gotta have, and I went back and watched your show on customer service. People don't understand how valuable customer service is. And I say that, and first of all, what people have to realize is giving me what I paid for is not customer service. I paid for that. I paid for that. Doing more than expected is customer service. Giving people more than their dollar value is customer service. Not doing what I paid for. I paid for that. You're supposed to give me that. And so I don't think people understand the customer service part, because customer service can keep you in business, because it's one of those situations where if the service or the item is inferior, but the customer service is superior, I'll find a way to give you another chance. Because know what I'll say? Know what, ma'am? I had a great experience. They were so nice over there. They made me feel welcome. They made me feel good. And if it's a restaurant, I might say, well, know what? Maybe that chicken, the cook was off that day, but I'm going to go and try the pasta. Maybe that pasta is good. I'm going to find an excuse for them to go back, because my experience was good. The service was good. But you let that be the flip side. Let it be that the customer service was horrible. The experience was horrible, but the food was good. Your first thing gonna say, man, that food was so good. God, it was good, but I ain't never going back there the way they treated me. Or it can be expensive. Even if you say, know what, man, that restaurant was expensive, but it was good. God, it was so good. You're gonna find a way to go back. That's why customer service is so important, because people will overlook your flaws. As human beings, we are emotional people, and people want to be emotionally touched. If you emotionally touch somebody, then it's going to be a whole nother situation, because they're going to find a way to stay connected to you. So I would say customer service for one. Secondly, undervaluing your business. People don't understand value. You got to understand value. And you got to understand, I tell this to my millennial class, either you're going to be, well, y'all might not know, because a lot of people I know from out of state, but you're going to either be Bankhead or you're going to be Buckhead. And Buckhead is the high class area of Atlanta, and Bankhead is the hood. So you got to find one, but you got to value your business. And so when I price my business, my price is my price. And I understood that early on. Like, if this is what I charge, this is what I charge. And when people say, well, down the street, they do this. Know what I used to tell people? And some of y'all young people don't know what MapQuest is. But I used to ask people, I say, you want me to get you MapQuest? I'm going to show you how to get to that place. This ain't the place for you. Yeah, this ain't the place for you. So you got to understand value. And so one of the greatest lessons, and I did another interview, and I was just telling somebody this, when I really saw my business grow and the perspective of my business change and my bank account. When I went to a conference, I went to one of the IRS forums, and the guy said, if ain't nobody complaining about your pricing, you ain't charging enough.
We just had that same conversation in the first hour with Coach Tawana. I was saying, because somebody posted it about, everybody charging these high prices to get the best. And it's like, hey, the best is not right. It's a privilege. You got to earn that privilege to be the best, to work with the best. Everybody won't drive a Rolls Royce. That don't mean you can't have a car.
And that's exactly right. Like I say, you got to know your value. So my price, when I learned that, I was like, you just not my client. When people say, whoa, you too high. No, I'm not too high. Your money too low. You know, and so my thing was that, all right, that's cool. You're just not my client, and that's okay, because I always say we're the Tiffany's of taxes, and not everybody shop at Tiffany's. Some people go to K Jewelers and Zales, and that's fine, because Tiffany's is not your thing. But we're looking for clients that want Tiffany value. Tiffany's ain't gonna have no Christmas sale. They ain't gonna have no holiday sale. You know, and that's what I love about them. I always say the same as Houston's. Houston's, you ain't gonna see Houston's have no 2 for $20 because they understand their value. Whenever you ever had a Houston's coupon?
Not ever.
Never. And everybody love Houston spinach dip, and they go up on their spinach dip every year, and everybody's still buying it. Ain't no 2 for $20. Prices go up. Ain't no Christmas sales. And every time you go to Houston, you gotta wait. They understand their value, and that's what we don't do as businesses. We scared to lose money. You know, I'm leaving money on the table if they gonna pay me $175. My price $300. You don't go to nobody else's business dictating what you gonna pay.
And the thing is what I found is that when you value your business and value your time, what happens is, because I don't know what the correlation is, but those that don't want to pay are usually the biggest headaches anyway. And those who write the biggest checks are the most gracious, Yep. When I start having $1,000 tax clients write a check and say thank you, wait, huh? Oh, I want to be around more of this crowd. Who I should know, Yeah. And after that, it was like, hey, this is my price to do this. Oh, you weigh so why you charge so much or whatever? I'm gonna charge you to explain that to you. So,
Hey, because I take classes, I go to seminars. The reason why you came to me is because you feel as though I'm very competent in what I do. Competency comes with a cost, because once again, I gotta pay for the conferences. I gotta pay for these seminars. I gotta pay to learn all these things you're coming to me for. So my price basically is gonna be passed on to you, because once again, it's cheaper to pay me up front than pay somebody to fix it on the back end.
And let me just go ahead and tell y'all, in case y'all don't know, because while my big brother over there, the Tiffany at Taxes, if I gotta fix it, you want to see me on this side of the equation, not this side, because that resolution work. Let me tell you something. You just go on and suspend your mortgage for a couple months.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, normally when you're in that situation, you didn't already got desperate, so you're gonna pay anything. So you desperate to get it fixed now, because you don't want the IRS coming after you. You don't want people coming after you. So you're desperate. So you're going to pay 3 times as much as you could have paid to get it right the first time.
Right. And I think people I think people that don't respect their own business or value their own business is the reason why they don't understand, this was the first year where in the past I've had clients that just left because prices. This is the first year that I've been actually firing clients. Like, hey, you know what? I don't think this is gonna work out. The relationship is not sustainable or whatever. And because I would see situations where it's one thing to do this personally, but it's like crazy in business when you will buy a non-essential item for your business to look a certain way, then pay for what you need to actually be in business, buying what you want and begging for what you need. That's just crazy, especially when it comes to business. And I think when these people don't value their business, like one time, like I was telling Coach Tawana in the first hour, I was like, I like to associate with people that make me feel like no matter what I'm doing, I ain't doing enough, because they always doing that much more than me. So I think it was about maybe 3 years ago, I want to say now, you were down in Florida, at a conference, and it was probably about August, September, somewhere in there, and you were like, "Yeah, well, I just spent $14,000 so far this year on education and personal development." And I looked and I was like, "I ain't spending enough money."
If you're looking to make, at least $500,000 or so, that's a small investment. Think about it. If you say you're looking to make multiple six figures, to spend $10,000-$15,000, because once again, the same way we say we value somebody's expertise, those type of conferences gonna cost a little bit more. Those types. So to see a George Frazier, Dennis Kimbrough, or Les Brown, or somebody like that, you're gonna have to invest in those kind of things. But what I found is what people don't value in those type of conferences, George, a lot of times it's not about the speaker, it's about the audience. Because
I was about to get to this. One of the big things that people don't know about you is, you may have mastered the franchising and the tax game and the mentorship, but you are a master networker. And you don't teach that one, though.
But you know what? That's not my lane. As far as, like, I don't know if y'all ever met, but I do a conference every year, and I do an award show part to my conference. And I gave Corey is Corey Network King Moore, because he's the network king. He teaches that. He teaches how to effectively network. I tell people you have to network, but I couldn't tell you the effective way to do so. I'm a hustler, so I'm a go. I know in order for you to know about my business, I got to be in front of you to tell you about it. So I know I need to be there. I know I need to network. I know the more people that I'm in front of, the better chance I have of getting more business. So I understand that aspect of it.
The type of people that you're in front of too, because you have to go where the desired clientele, is going to be. If you're going to a bunch of free networking events with people that don't, have invested in their own businesses yet, all you're going to get is a bunch of socializing, at the end of the day, a bunch of bad referrals, paying the cost to be the boss. You know what I'm saying? Like get in when you fit in.
Like this lady of another persuasion told us one time, me and one of my other partners, who would call my mentor, Rob Wilson, we were looking to put together an event, and it was at a kind of an exclusive place. And we were trying to, tell a lady what we were trying to do. And she said, well, I don't mind doing it, but, no offense. She said, no offense, but I don't want this to be a hot wing networking event. And so we kind of understood what she was talking about, and she tried to put it as gracefully as possible. But she didn't want no average event where that was going to be free, where you just had some hot wings and some things like that, because those type of events going to draw a certain type of person. And sometimes you got to get out of that. Sometimes you got to go to an event. All right, they might say they're going to have some shrimp and lobster, and it might cost you $250, $300. But it's going to be a whole bunch of yous there. And when I say yous, it's going to be people like yourself. And that's what you want, because those people are forward thinkers. So if you might meet somebody, and they tell you, well, you know what? I'm thinking about doing this, and I'm thinking about, and you be like, damn, you know what? I never thought about that. But the problem is with me, and the good thing and I do love pouring into people. But to be honest with you, probably about 90% of the network events that I go to, I'm probably the most knowledgeable person at those events. And I say that in the sense of most businesses who are there, they're trying to get started, or they're trying to grow their business. So they're networking. I don't knock them for networking, because you're supposed to be. But it's very seldom do I meet people that's 10 plus, 20 plus, in the game that actually have the type of success that I've had. So I understood that. So I need to go to an event where I'm saying I did 20 years in the game, and people are like, well, yeah, I'm just about to complete my 30th year, my 25th year. So you got to make the investment. But even back in the day, when we talk about valuing your business, when I used to go to the NATP conference. Now, if you went to the NATP conference back in the day, it was crazy because I used to always brag and say that I was probably like the youngest person there. I remember being like in my early 30s, and they said the average person there was 55. Like the average age of the NATP conference was 55. The stuff that they talked about, I was about to say 80% of the people there were EAs, and probably the other 20% was CPAs. But I used to go to find out what those people that are 10 times more experienced than me are doing. I didn't learn a whole lot from the sessions because those sessions was above me at the time and my particular client base. But I valued my business to say, I'm going to position my business now so when those clients do come, I'm already ready for them. And I think we don't.
I say that all the time, if you sitting in a boat with the water still or whatever and no wind blowing, that's the time to set your sails and everything. You can't wait till the wind is already blowing and the water choppy, be trying to hang those sails.
And trying to hang it up. Yeah. And then with the third thing, it's probably a couple of things, but I would say now that I understand a lot more is structuring your business properly. It's no reason why most businesses are still sole proprietors. Not if you planning on growing. Because see, your mindset already as a sole proprietor is not geared toward growth. It's not geared toward growth. Because how many people that have a staff of people that actually make $500,000 plus that are sole proprietors? It's not a whole lot of them when you think in growth, because now you're like, all right, how do I protect all this? How do I get, health insurance for my staff? How do I get a staff and all these? So when you're thinking on that level, you've already mentally started connecting with people that say, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to be. So if you basically, if your mind structure is geared toward growing, you got to understand, all right, what's my benefit as an LLC? What's my benefit as an S Corp? How can I benefit maybe as a C Corp, as an LLP? So that's why you have to get away from having your nail tech or your barber do your taxes. Because
I wanted to ask you this question too. Why is it that tax planning is such an underutilized, undervalued, damn near non-existent tool in our community, especially the business community? I think I called you the first time this happened. I had a client was making just over $500,000 a year, and the amount of money that I had saved them from their previous person, they were shocked. And then the part that shocked me was that they said, wow, I made that much money. And I was like, you ain't, wait, in what world do you not know how much money you make? Like hey, I'm gonna be within $2.50 range. I'm gonna know them. Like, how you don't? So why is that such an undervalued in our business community?
And man, and see stuff like that you're saying, that's why I'm so excited about my millennial classes that I do, because one of my last slides talks about tax planning and business planning. And I tell my young people to get into things that you want before you get into it. So, and I talk about, like, I use pro athletes as an example. Pro athletes don't wait till the season to get in shape, to get their stuff together. They have the off season. So it's a concept that we know, but we just don't know it in business because we don't see enough examples of it. So we don't think that it's necessary because we don't have bigger aspirations. If you had bigger aspirations of growing your business, you would probably say, man, know what do I need to do to make sure that my $500,000 stay in my account? And so if you thought bigger about your business and thought about, know what, I want to grow my business where I can employ people, then you're going to start planning a little bit more because you need to know how that look, what you need to do. But because we don't worry about growing our business, we get caught up in everybody. Oh, you doing it. You're doing big things. And we get caught up in that. We don't think we have to plan because we've been sold a dream on we're doing okay. So I must be doing something right because everybody's praising me. And because we don't have examples of enough people doing it, enough people are not getting on it, enough people are not talking about it. You and I are and you probably know a couple other people that talk about it, but I don't know very many people that's even in our industry that talk about tax planning. I already tell you, if you're not already putting your tax plan and your business plan together for next year, and we're almost in the 6th month, you're already behind the game.
Right. You know, and that's the part that I don't understand. And you talk about this all the time. Is not how much you can make, is how much you can keep. And, you know, it's a 2-part thing. And that's what the part I don't understand is like, yeah, the ability to make money is great. But somebody can make a whole lot less than you and go a whole lot further than you because they knew how to keep a lot more than you, which went into the term of the day that we launched the show with, which was the time value of money. You know, having being able to have money now and be able to put into different places. You know, like you were able to talk about when you started investing in other businesses or whatever, and you know, kind of shoring them up or whatever. It would be like, okay, you may need this money and I'm going to take a piece of this. But then you saw that the bigger investment was the education, not the finance, because too many people were having basic business practices fall through the crack. And that's, you know, that was really behind, you know, the talk radio came out of actually Boss, which was the product suite about business operations, because I was finding people, you know, business owners that were on that cusp of transition into profitable, but didn't have they weren't sure of that foundation you were talking about, you know, that foundation in place. And you can, you know, you can get the most amazing marketing vehicle out here. You have to prepare for success. You know, there is something worse than failing, and that's being successful before you're ready. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
If you define success by sales numbers or whatever, you could hit it too soon and don't have the infrastructure in place. That goes to customer service, and you lost.
But you know what? I think people don't even realize how often that happens. A lot of times you find people that don't want to be successful because they're scared they won't be able to handle it. And I always tell people, never run from too much money, find out how to handle it. And so people will shut their money off. They will shut their progress off because they don't know how to handle it. They don't have nothing in place, because when that money starts coming, like you said, that can be an issue. So what I'm trying to get people to retrain themselves is position yourself as if it's coming next year. Because once again, if you're already in position, it's better to have and not need than need and not have. Because if I already have it in place and it comes, I'm good, I'm ready. But if it comes and I don't have nothing in place and I'm scrambling, I'm going to probably fail or quit. You know, and so that's why this is so important, man, that you consistently talk about this. You consistently, you know, have Boss out there so people can get these operational things in place, and keep bringing people on. Because probably one of my best investments was, I had a client, man. He was running a business by himself. He was running a business by himself, and every year he's coming, and he has a plumbing service. Every year he's doing $600,000, $650,000 in sales. And I'm like, damn, he's doing this by himself? And he don't have no idea about business. I'm like, man, if I get behind this dude and show him how to do business the right way and invoice and get in position to get contracts and all of these things, I'm like, man, he'll be doing $1.5 million in no time. Dude had the understanding of all this. But once again, I couldn't get him to see that hustling wasn't the way to go. You know, he kept saying he wanted to grow, but he don't want to change nothing. He don't want to hold the people. They giving him a net 30 on invoices. They giving him net 30 on invoices and taking 45, 60 days to pay. And I told him, I said, that's okay. I said, but you hit them with a late penalty. I said, watch how fast they start paying. Well, I don't want to do that because then, you know, I don't know if they're going to get upset and maybe take the business away. I said, but know what? What we do is we get in a position where we got more than enough business. So if we lose them, I said, they don't want to lose you as much as you want to lose them. I said, because if you're doing great business, they understand the value in this, but they're using you to pay when they want to pay, do what they want to do. The same with his contractors. You know, he basically got contractors sitting around lagging jobs to make the jobs last longer so they can get paid longer. You know, and I'm like, bro, let's put together a program where we're going to have contractors waiting. They're going to be waiting to come on this team. So as soon as we let somebody go, you got somebody to fill in.
Right.
You know, because take a chance. What if they quit? And I'm like, man, you know, but people not understanding that, putting those things in place. If you can do 600,000, George, as a single plumbing company, just think if you had an operational system and an infrastructure in place, bro, you would do $1.5 million easily.
And,
you know, and
sometimes people don't get there because not only the compliance or the operation issues or whatever, like some of the craziest things I've heard is like one of the mistakes I've seen, and you know, and I've heard you talk about it as well. People not understanding that difference between an employee or a contractor. One of the craziest things I heard, I seen a business owner doing just over 300,000 or whatever, and wanting to pay people under the table, you know, even giving them a 1099. I'm like, how does that help you at all? You know, do you realize what you're doing? You know, well, now I don't want Uncle Sam do this, and that, and the other one, and this one got child support. How is that your problem?
That's it. And that's the one thing that we got to understand. We got to stop making business personal.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's two different things. It's two different things, and you got to respect that. And if you got people on your team that don't respect that, then
they don't respect your business. So, hey, it's been great having you on the show. First time we got to really chop it up like this. What I want you to leave everybody with, though, is for those people, the Fissington tribe, the Bautu tribe, the Ubuntu tribe, as Dave Anderson calls it, that always says, well, I just need a little bit more money to do this. You mentioned earlier, you were talking about, you know, don't be scared of money or whatever. I think it's a flawed thought process when somebody think that money is going to solve the problem of not having no money.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't have money because you don't know what to do with money.
And a lot of times that is the case. But when people always ask me, you know, because everybody claim their problem is that if they just had money, if I just had money for my business, my first question to everybody that say that, man, how can I get money for my business? I just said, if I had money, my first question, are you fundable? Are you fundable? Most people are not fundable. So my first thing, get your business in order. Get your business in order. And I guarantee you, it's enough places out there to give you money. And once you start getting that money, people are going to start finding you to give you more money. So get your business in order first. Become fundable, and you ain't going to have no problems. Because see, part of becoming fundable, become educated on how you need to run business, how you need to set your business up. So when you get the money, you're going to have a better perspective on what to do with it and how to use it, because during that transition of getting my business in place, you know, and so that's why I tell you, first of all, get fundable first, you know, and stop worrying about the money. Because with anything else, if you get money and you don't understand money, you're going to lose money.
Big brother, appreciate having you on. See you around this way soon. I know you'll be in town soon. Looking at
Yeah.
doing the forum in Orlando in September. The one here in Dallas was canceled or whatever. So let me know if you're gonna be down that way. I'm looking at that.
Yeah, I was trying to find. I went to the one in Orlando last year. Yeah, that's the one I went to. I said I was gonna go to San Diego. I went to the one in San Diego a couple of times, and that's always a good look because you can leave there, go to the beach, see the sunshine, and I rode up
Well,
the coast.
you're gonna find the beach anyway, so
I rode up the coast to LA. But I was thinking how they gonna handle that though. Are they still gonna do actual conferences or?
Well, what
Or
they
you think
there's a little bit of mix up because, of course, you have NATP, you have NAEA, and then you have IRS or whatever. So I was going to do NAEA was having one here, and I was debating on doing the one in Vegas. They started talking about doing virtual, and they just basically suspended everything until August. So they're still doing the one in Arizona. I didn't want to do that one, so I said, well, I'll go shoot over to Orlando for the IRS one or whatever, and get a little vacation in with it at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I'll play it by ear though. I'll play it by ear and just kind of see which ones they're gonna cancel, which ones they're gonna keep open. And we can definitely stay connected on that. But I always look for, like, it was so funny because it matters. Locations matter because they had the one in this was the Black Enterprise Conference, which I think they just canceled that. But the Black Enterprise Conference was in Dayton, Ohio, for a couple of times. Wasn't nobody, like I said, that was the smallest crowds I've seen ever. So after they left Dayton, they went to Miami.
Blew up.
They moved to Miami. That was the biggest registration they ever had. But it was the lowest attended. Because was nobody. so it definitely matters where you have these conferences. It definitely matters where they have these conferences. So
everybody did the tax write-off for that one.
Yeah, everybody was on the beach like, oh, you ain't going to that class? Oh, well, yeah, I'll see another time. But yeah, so I look for the locations basically. That's a little bit more sexier, but I'm not opposed to Orlando because I enjoyed Orlando last year. So, we'll stay connected on that, man, and we might get a link in Orlando.
Well, we're going to go ahead and close it out with a little motivation for folks. So there you have it, folks. We've gone more than 30 minutes over the scheduled showtime, but when the show is hot and you're getting this much information, you just never know, where that thing is going to go. Want to give a shout out to Coach Tawana again. Pick up the book, The LinkedIn Professor. Tons of information. Get your profile right on LinkedIn or whatever, because, this post-COVID-19, let me tell you something, them job situations go hit differently. You need to find a way to make yourself seen on a platform that is really dedicated to that. And then, if you're starting that business or hey, don't run into the wall, get the book, Running with Blinders On. Don't make those top 17 mistakes and learn how to use your, resources. Let me tell you, successful people are accessible people. You can't waste their time, but they're willing to give you time when you're willing to invest in yourself. I hope you got a whole lot more takeaways today on the show for that. But, that was the parts that I really wanted to leave you guys with. Invest in yourself, use your resources, and always look to throw the rope back, as Big Brother Jupe say. Because that hand you gave somebody else up is another hand that'll pull you up later on. This has been your host, George Dandridge. We will see you guys next week where we're going to bring you some more hot authors and giving you some more business operations success. Here.